tonight's gruesome grog on Newsbang. Tang army routed, Ansi Fortress remains un-Ansied. Blinding light show in Fatima, God or glowstick. And King Philip outlaws party poopers, Templars taken down. Plus, coming up, Professor Bloodsplat asks, can you suck a golf ball through a garden hose? Those are the headlines. This is Newsbang. My work here is done.
Nadar Newsbang, injecting a double dose of truth serum into the anemic veins of public opinion. Source C 645.
The Tang dynasty's attempt to conquer Ansi Fortress has ended in a humiliating retreat. Emperor Taizong's forces, armed with pointy sticks and questionable battle cries, were soundly thrashed by the Goguryeu defenders, who simply refused to let them in.
Eyewitnesses report the Tang army's siege weapons consisted of a giant catapult made of chopsticks and noodles. "We were expecting takeout," one bewildered soldier admitted.
As supplies dwindled and morale plummeted, a frustrated Emperor Taizong was heard shouting, "Fine, keep your stupid fortress," before flouncing back to China, leaving behind a strongly worded letter of complaint and 1,000 disgruntled soldiers.
This failed siege marks a turning point in the Goguryeu-Tang War, proving that even the mightiest armies struggle against a good, sturdy wall.
Tatende 1917.
Chaos in Fatima, Portugal today, as the sun decided to ditch its celestial routine and perform an impromptu aerial ballet. Thousands of pilgrims, expecting divine intervention, got a cosmic dance-off instead.
Local farmer Joaquim Cabrito, still shaking his head, said, "I thought I was having a religious experience. Then I saw the priest next to me trying to catch the sun in a bucket."
Scientists are baffled by this celestial tango. "We never thought the sun had it in it," admitted one astrophysicist. "It's like a disco ball in the sky."
The Portuguese government has issued a stern warning to the sun, threatening to revoke its tanning license. Meanwhile, entrepreneurs are cashing in with "I survived the solar samba" merchandise.
1307.
King Philip of France, a man whose pockets are apparently lighter than his conscience, has ordered a mass arrest of the Knights Templar, accusing them of heresy, blasphemy, and excessive facial hair.
Eyewitnesses report Templar strongholds being ransacked, with royal guards confiscating gold, jewels, and enough codpieces to outfit an entire medieval brothel. One Templar was caught trying to flush sacred relics down the toilet.
The king's spokesman, Lord Flimflam of Nonsense, declared, "These so-called holy warriors have been living the high life for far too long. It's time they face justice, or at least a good barber."
Critics, however, see this as a blatant power grab. "Seems awfully convenient that the king's broke and suddenly the Templars are heretics," one peasant muttered. "What's next? Taxing prayer?"
Newsbang, fact-checking fiction's truth-bending fiction.
And now, for a forecast more turbulent than a bag of badgers in a bouncy castle, it's the whimsical weatherman, Shakanaka Giles. Shakanaka. What meteorological mischief is on the menu tonight?
Good evening, viewers. Down south, a bit of a damp squib to start. Drizzle so fine it wouldn't dampen a gnat's wedding, but fear not. By afternoon, the sun will be making a cameo appearance. A fleeting glimpse of sunshine, like a politician's promise, brief but beguiling. Up north, hold on to your hats, folks, because the wind's got a mind of its own. It's a proper blustery bonanza out there, the sort that could turn your umbrella into a kite and send you flying off to Barnsley. Secure those garden gnomes. Folks, they'll be doing the Highland Fling tonight. And in Scotland, brace yourselves for a right Arctic blast. Temperatures colder than a penguin's nose. We're talking frostbite, blizzards, the whole frozen caboodle. So dig out your woolly jumpers, your long johns, and maybe invest in a heated toilet seat. And that's all the weather.
Squirrely 645.
It seems those Tang dynasty chaps have bitten off more than they can chew. Their attempt to conquer Ansi Fortress has gone about as well as a vegan at a butcher's picnic. Emperor Taizong's grand plans for conquest are unravelling faster than a cheap silk robe. For a frontline report on this military mishap, we go live to our intrepid correspondent, Brian Bastable. Brian, are you still in one piece? Or have you been turned into kebab meat?
Martin, it's absolute chaos out here. Imagine 1,000 angry badgers let loose in a library with trebuchets and flaming arrows for added excitement. The Tang army is camped out, looking like a boy band that's just been told their tour bus has broken down. Their silk robes are tattered, their morale is lower than a snake's belly button, and they smell like they haven't bathed since the invention of soap. Those Goguryeu lads, on the other hand, are having a whale of a time. They're raining down insults and arrows from the fortress walls, and every so often they lob a severed head over the ramparts for good measure. I just saw a chap using a Tang soldier's beard as a skipping rope. This siege is turning into a medieval comedy of errors. Emperor Taizong is looking a bit peaky, Martin. I reckon he's regretting this whole invasion lark. His dreams of conquest are going up in smoke faster than a Buddhist monk's incense stick. This is Brian Bastable, signing off from a battlefield that's more fast than ferocious. Back to you, Martin, before I end up as a human pincushion.
1307.
King Philip IV of France, in a move that would make even the most ruthless modern politician blush, has ordered the mass arrest and torture of Knights Templar members. This wasn't just a bad day at the office for the Templars, it was the beginning of their downfall. The king, apparently not satisfied with his own vast wealth, decided to help himself to the Templars' piggy bank. Charges of heresy and blasphemy were thrown about like confetti at a medieval wedding. To discuss the long-term implications of this royal temper tantrum, we go now to our crime correspondent, Ken Shit.
Good evening, you sons of bitches. It's 1307, and the shit has hit the fan faster than a Templar can say, Deus Vult. King Philip IV of France, that debt-ridden cockwomble, just launched a dawn raid on the Knights Templar that would make the Spanish Inquisition look like a tea party. These God-fearing warriors, once the guardians of Christendom, are now being rounded up like cattle and tortured until they confess to crimes so ridiculous they'd make a jester blush. Heresy? Blasphemy? Immorality? Please! The only crime here is the king's insatiable greed and his willingness to set fire to the very fabric of medieval society. Picture this. Thousands of knights and sergeants, men who've spilled blood for the Holy Land, now spilling their guts on the rack. And for what? So King Philip can clear his tab and stuff his royal codpiece with Templar gold. But mark my words, you slack-jawed viewers, this unholy clusterfuck will have consequences. The Crusader states in the Holy Land are about to become weaker than watered-down ale. The Catholic Church, it'll be pissing its papal robes as its power crumbles faster than a stale communion wafer. And let's not forget the lasting skid mark this leaves on history. Friday the 13th, once just another day to avoid your mother-in-law, will forever be tainted by the stench of betrayal and burning flesh. This is Ken Shit, reminding you that power corrupts, and absolute power turns you into a complete and utter twat waffle. Good night, and may God have mercy on our souls.
1908.
On this day in 1908, a seismic event shook the hallowed halls of Westminster. Margaret Travers Simons, a woman with a voice like a foghorn and a mission to shake up the establishment, became the first woman to address the House of Commons. For an on-the-spot account of this momentous occasion, we go live to our political correspondent, Hardiman Pesto. Pesto, are you there? Or have you been ejected for wearing inappropriate footwear?
Martin, I'm here in the House of Commons where history has just been made. The atmosphere is electric. You can practically smell the testosterone and stale cigar smoke.
Pesto, give us the details. What earth-shattering pronouncements did Miss Simons unleash upon those unsuspecting MPs?
Martin, it was extraordinary. She stormed into the chamber disguised as a charwoman and launched into a fiery speech demanding votes for women, equal rights, and... well, I didn't quite catch the rest. A rather large gentleman with a monocle was blocking my view.
Pesto, you missed the most important part of the speech because a man with a monocle was in your way. You're a disgrace to journalism.
I know, Martin, I know. But I did manage to glean some information from a chap in the lobby. He said Ms. Simons caused quite a stir. Apparently several MPs fainted dead away, and one elderly peer had to be revived with smelling salts.
That's utter nonsense.
And who might you be, madam?
Professor Sylvia Pankhurst at your service. I was present for Miss Simons's speech. No one fainted. The MPs were simply stunned into silence. The very idea of a woman addressing them was simply inconceivable.
Well, Professor, perhaps they were just overcome by Miss Simons' powerful rhetoric. I hear she has a voice that could melt steel.
More likely they were overcome by their own prejudice and misogyny. Miss Simons's speech was a clarion call for equality, and it clearly rattled the cages of the patriarchy.
Professor Pankhurst, thank you for providing some much-needed clarity. As for Pesto, well, let's just say his reporting is as reliable as a chocolate fireguard. Back to you in the studio, future me.
Udras Newsbang. What you're doing another podcast, really.
And now, with a special report on the unfolding situation in the Andes, we turn to our intrepid travel correspondent, Polly Beep, who's been monitoring this developing story from her vantage point atop Mount Everest.
Hello, my adventurous darlings. Polly Beep here with a traffic report that's more gripping than a pair of snow tyres on an icy road. We're starting in the Andes Mountains, where a Uruguayan Air Force plane has gone off-piste. It seems the pilot mistook a mountain for a cloud, and now they're having an impromptu picnic on a rather precarious peak. Anyone planning a trip through the Andes, pack a parachute, a Sherpa, and a good supply of Kendall mint cake. You might need all three. Rescue efforts are underway, but it's slower than a snail in a sleeping bag. The mountain passes are blocked by curious onlookers and amateur climbers, all trying to get a selfie with the stranded plane. It's a right scrum up there, folks. Back in Uruguay, there's a run on meat pies. The butchers are working overtime, the ovens are blazing, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're using those Andes mountains as rolling pins. Talk about comfort food. Meanwhile, on the M1, a herd of escaped llamas is heading south, possibly on a pilgrimage to Machu Picchu. If you see a llama wearing a backpack and a hiking boots, give him a wave. He's got a long way to go. That's all for now, folks. Drive safe and remember, mountains are beautiful, but they're best admired from a safe distance. This is Polly Beep signing off.
1773.
And now, for a science report that's more mind-bending than a galaxy made of cheese and onion crisps, it's Calamity Prendeville. Calamity, what cosmic wonders have you uncovered?
Good evening, viewers. Tonight on Science Watch, we're venturing to the outer reaches of the cosmos. It's 1773, and a French astronomer named Charles Messier has stumbled upon the Whirlpool Galaxy, a swirling mass of stars, gas and dust, millions of light years away. But what Monsieur Messier didn't realise is that this celestial discovery was made possible by British ingenuity.
That's right. Long before the French got their hands on a telescope, those plucky British stargazers had already mapped out the cosmos, using a contraption cobbled together from an old biscuit tin, a magnifying glass, and a BBC Micro.
This Whirlpool Galaxy, viewers, a swirling mass of stars that looks suspiciously like a cosmic Catherine wheel, is 31 million light years away. That's a bloody long way. even for a seasoned space traveller. But here's the kicker. British scientists have discovered that the Whirlpool Galaxy isn't just a pretty face. Oh no, it's also a giant intergalactic record player. Those swirling arms, they're grooves on a massive vinyl record, playing the music of the spheres. Imagine, viewers, a cosmic symphony of stardust and starlight. Sadly, the only needle big enough to play it is currently orbiting Jupiter, thanks to a slight miscalculation by a chap named Barry from the British Space Agency. Never mind, it's the thought that counts. This is Calamity Prendeville, signing off from Science Watch.
A news bang. One mouthpiece, two truths. First the news, then the snooze. Tatende 1917.
And on this day in 1917, Portugal witnessed what can only be described as celestial choreography of the highest order. The sun, apparently bored with its usual routine, decided to put on a show that would make even the most seasoned Las Vegas performer green with envy. Thousands gathered in Fatima to watch this cosmic cabaret as the sun danced, changed colours, and seemingly plummeted towards Earth before sheepishly returning to its rightful place. Was it a miracle? A mass hallucination? Or perhaps the universe's way of saying, "Look at me, I'm fabulous"? For more on this heavenly hoedown, we turn to our religious affairs correspondent, Pastor Kevin Monstrance.
Well, good evening, dear viewers. Pastor Kevin here, and tonight's tale is a right Bobby Dazzler. It's 1917, and we're off to Fatima, Portugal, where the sun decided to put on a show that would make a disco ball look like a dim bulb. Spinning, swirling, changing colours. Some folks even said it looked like a giant heavenly yo-yo. Now, you know, some people, especially those who spend their Sundays reading the sports pages instead of the good book, would say it was a mass hallucination. Sunstroke, they'd mutter, shaking their heads and polishing their spectacles. But I say, where's the wonder in that? Where's the faith? Our producer, a man who wouldn't believe in miracles even if he saw a burning bush in the BBC canteen, would probably agree with those skeptics. Bless his soul. Speaking of miracles, did I ever tell you about the time I saw the vicar in the bathtub? He was wearing his full robes and holding a rubber duck. I thought he was performing some sort of ancient baptismal ritual. Turned out he was just trying to get a stain out of his cassock. Those things happen. And just the other day I received a letter from a Mrs. Gladys Throckmorton of Tunbridge Wells. She claims she witnessed a miracle in her own kitchen. A sausage roll, she says, started glowing. A bright heavenly light emanating from a puff pastry. Now, I haven't verified this story, mind you. Mrs. Throckmorton also believes she can talk to squirrels. But miracles, they do happen, like the story of this chap who went to Lourdes seeking a cure for his ailments. Now, this fellow was a bit of a hypochondriac. He worried about everything. If he got a paper cut, he thought he had gangrene. Anyway, he goes to Lourdes, dips himself in the holy water, and waits for a miracle. But nothing. No angels singing, no blinding light, no sudden disappearance of his ailments. Disappointed, he turns to a nearby priest and says, "Well, that's it then. No miracle for me." And the priest, bless his cotton socks, looks at the chap and says, "Miracle? You're lucky you're still alive. We've got a plague of frogs." It just goes to show, doesn't it? Sometimes the greatest miracle is simply dodging a plague of amphibians. This is Pastor Kevin Monstrance signing off. And remember, keep your faith strong, your spirits high, and your eyes peeled for any unexpected sausage roll illuminations. Good night, God bless, and mind how you go.
And finally, let's rummage through tomorrow's rags. The Times shouts, "Yankee Doodle Doodle at Bristow Station." The Telegraph trumpets, "Normans conquer conquest." The mail leads with German sub, goes for a dip at Scapa Flow. And the Mirror has gone for nag found dead in ditch. And the Daily Star screams, Beauty Queen boils kettle. That's it from the papers. And due to a surprisingly low demand, we're no longer selling Newsbang tea cozies. You can keep your socks. And that's the end of the show. Now I'll let you return to whatever nightmare it is that drives you.
Tune in next time for more artificially intelligent hilarity. Newsbang is a comedy show, written and recorded by AI. All voices impersonated. Nothing here is real. Good night.